Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. This is Paige from Casper Creative, and today is such a special day. It is my birthday. I am 28 years old and I'm so excited to see what this coming year has to offer. 27 was crazy. It was a really busy year, but it was super wonderful at the same time. I actually made a post on my Instagram about all the things that went on this year, so if you want to know more, you can always go check that out there. And I thought, what better way to spend my birthday than to share with you guys one of my favorite DIYs that I have ever done. I'm going to share with you how I made this beautiful wall hanging using 4 foam poster boards from the Dollar Tree. Let's count them, $4. I will also be sharing with you the tool that I used that took it to the next level. I got this tool on Amazon for $8 and it is seriously a game changer. If you look online, you can find wall hanging similar to this that cost over $100. And so it's amazing the thought that you can make something that, in my completely unbiased opinion, looks like real wood and looks like really good quality material, and you can make it for less than $10 or even less than $5 depending on what supplies you already have. So again, I am super excited to share this with you. I think my birthday is the perfect day to be sharing this since it's something I am so proud of. So let's get started. First, we'll work on the base of our wall hanging. It's 20 inches across, so we want it cut in half. That means I will measure 10 inches, mark a line, and then mark up and down, and then cut along that line, and now we will have 2 equal pieces. And now that we have 2 equal pieces, we are going to glue them together so we have a nice thick base. It's a good idea to do a combination of a hot glue as well as other kind of glue, like some gel super glue or maybe even a little bit of E6000. You could always do the stronger glue around the outside and then the hot glue on the inside. When it comes to painting, I like to paint along the outer edges, and then while it's still drying, I paint the top part. In order to keep the table from getting messy, I allow the poster board to sit on top of these canisters I got from the Dollar Tree. Now let's get painting. I like to use this apple barrel paint in nutmeg. I think it's a nice light color and is a really good base. So first we paint along all the edges, and make sure you get the paint into the cracks where the 2 parts of the poster board come together. And once the edges are complete, you can get started painting the top. And it's okay if it's not perfect, because in real wood you'll find lots of inconsistencies and imperfections. So rather than have you watch me actually cut out the Z's, I thought it would be better to just show you on this little diagram I created. The first thing you're going to do is measure 10 inches along the bottom and then mark up 2 inches from where that line ends, and then you'll draw the exact same rectangle at the top. Measure 2 inches from the left of your top rectangle and then 2 inches from the right of your bottom rectangle. You will then connect both 2-inch sections using straight lines, and then once that's all in place, you should have a nice crisp letter Z, and then you just use a box cutter and cut it out. I also forgot to mention that this diagram is showing what the poster board would look like horizontally. So when we're creating the base, we have it going vertically, but when we're creating the Z's, the poster board goes horizontally, and then you should be able to get 3 Z's out of that foam board. But if you would feel better getting an extra foam board just in case, that's not necessarily a bad idea either. Now that I have the Z's cut out, I will start painting those as well. I'll first paint the edges and then the top, just like I did with the foam board. And then I paint the top. Now that the paint has had time to dry, we will start working on the wood grain. But first, I will show you the tool that I used. This tool is called the Red Devil. It comes with a couple of different attachments, one that's smaller and one that's a little bit bigger. This one right here is the bigger one, and you can see it has grooves in it that kind of looks like wood grain. We will actually be using the smaller one for our project today. You grab the detachable handle and stick it into the back, and then it's ready to be used. It also came with this separate little comb thing, which gives you a few other options for texture. So basically the first thing you'll do is a thin layer of a different type of paint, And then you take the scraper and you very gently drag the scraper back, and you kind of rock the tool back and forward a little bit to give you a variety of textures and pattern. I'm going to use this chalk paint in the color Java, but if you don't want to buy chalk paint, the burnt umber and apple barrel works just as well, and it is the exact same color. So now I will pour a little bit of this on a paper plate. And then I grab a wider foam brush to get the paint on there. I don't want too much because I don't want it to be too saturated, but yet I still want there to be enough on the brush to do a good even coat. So then I just start brushing. I know it's a little bit scary because you feel like, oh my gosh, I am covering up all this work I just did, but trust me, it works. So now I take the tool, starting at the edge, and very gently but firmly start pulling back. You can see I'm rocking it a little bit, so that way it'll give it a little bit different texture and pattern. And something that I found, if it gets a little bit too dark in one area and I need to lighten it, I just take the original lighter paint, squirt a little on there, and I just take that same old big brush over it, and then come back with the tool again, and it evens it out a little bit better. This is a really forgiving tool, which is super nice because it can be a little bit intimidating. So this is how it's looking right now. I'm really happy with this considering this is only the second one I've done, and it'll look even better once it's dry. Now we will work on doing the wood grain on the Z. The biggest thing is make sure you follow the lines that make sense. For example, you wouldn't have it go up and down in short strokes like that. You would have it go the long way. And don't feel bad if you have to reapply the paint more than once. It's just all part of the learning process. And here's the finished Z. And again, don't be worried if it's not perfect. You'll see lots of inconsistencies in real wood too. And now I'm going to glue down the Z to the foam board. Now the height of the board is 30 inches long and the Z is 20 inches long. So we want to have 5 inches above and below the Z. So I'm going to mark 5 inches on the bottom and 5 inches at the top, and then I will know about where to glue. Now this is totally optional, but if you have some Mod Podge sitting around, if you brush Mod Podge over the top of this, it gives it kind of a shiny sealed wood look, almost like it has a varnish on it. And to me, I think it looks super cool. Again, you don't have to, you can just leave it looking matte the way it is currently and it'll be totally fine. But if you wanted to do just a little something extra, this looks really cool. Now that the Mod Podge is dry, you can see that it has a really nice shiny look to it. And sometimes if you catch it in the right light, it actually looks like there's true wood grain there. Now let's move on to distressing. Find a white paint and then put a little tiny bit on a plate. And then you will take a paintbrush, whether you got it from the Dollar Tree or Walmart, and just very lightly dab it into the paint and then swirl it around on the paper plate to get rid of any excess paint on it. Then you gently start rubbing the paintbrush along the edges of the sign as well as in the middle too. You don't want to have too much paint on there, otherwise you're going to cover up all the work you did, but you definitely want to be able to see that there is some distressing going on. When you think about seeing pieces that are faded, you often see fading along the edges first, so you really want to pay attention to those edges and then work inward. The footage of my finishing touches actually got deleted, but that's okay because I can just explain it pretty easily. I took a thin paintbrush and got a little bit of the darker paint. For me it was Java, but for you it might be burnt umber. And I measured 3-inch marks along the bottom most narrow side of the sign. And then I just very carefully drew a thin line up because I wanted it to look like the sign was made of 3 pieces of wood and not just one big block of wood, if that makes sense. So here's the finished product. I'm so happy with how it turned out. We decided to put it up above our bed because if heaven forbid something falls during the night, I know we're not going to end up in the emergency room with a concussion. I found an old wreath that I've used in other decor and hung it on there as well. I just think it adds a nice little elegant touch to it. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do that as well, and make sure you hit the notification bell next to the subscribe button. That way you'll be notified anytime I upload new content. Since it's my birthday, I thought it would be fun to share with you one of my favorite quotes. It's a quote that I often refer to whenever I'm going through a hard time or just whenever I'm struggling with anything, and that is, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." It's so easy to focus on what lies ahead, your 5-year goal, your 10-year goal, and those are all really important, but it's also important to focus on the here and now as well. Enjoy your life's journey because you only get one. Comment down below the best advice you've ever received or a quote that you like to live by. Thanks for watching. See you next time.